Cyber warfare is the use of computers and other devices to attack an enemy's information systems as opposed to an enemy's armies or factories. But many scholars believe the definition remains much more complex than this. According to Jonathan Orfert, it is important to note differences between the variable levels of malicious cyber activity, which include cyber crime, cyber espionage, cyber terrorism, cyber attacks, and cyber warfare, which all seem to fit under the basic definition of cyber warfare. The definitions delivered and oftentimes danced around by high-ranking government officials and security experts often conflict, leaving a true definition unclear. Regardless of definition of cyber warfare, the issue is becoming increasingly important and is now vital to the United States government and private businesses for many reasons. There are various types of attacks that are present in today's cyberspace. These include denial of service attack, malicious programs, logic bombs, spoofing, and digital manipulation. A botnet is an army of computers that simultaneously send requests to a target, overwhelming the server and causing it to shut down, denying service to users. Malware, short for malicious software, is a program that disrupts the normal activities of a computer system. The most common types of malware are viruses, worms, Trojan horses, and logic bombs. LP spoofing is a hijacking technique in which hijackers masquerade as a trusted host to conceal their identity. When the user types a known URL into their web browser, they are directed to a fraudulent web page created by the hijacker. Digital manipulation is a technique where a hacker adds or removes a part of a video or a photo to alter the image or the video. The world is on the forefront of cyber warfare and is continuing to grow. As of 2007, there are an estimated 120 countries working on cyber attack commands, and in 10 to 20 years, experts believe we would see countries competing for cyber supremacy. Along with the definition for cyber warfare, there also is no doctrine defining rules of engagement for cyber warfare, so decisions during engagements remain cloudy. With all this uncertainty, one thing remains clear. The goal of the United States is to remain dominant in every arena, including cyberspace. According to the White House, the United States will lead international and domestic efforts to ensure the security of the global information infrastructures, continue to invest in cyberspace, and increase collaboration with the private sector and allies to protect this critical domain. With this strong initiative straight from the White House, the steps being taken by our government and specifically our Air Force seem questionable. Former U.S. Director of National Intelligence Michael McConnell commented, "The U.S. is involved in a cyber war at this very moment and losing. This is not because we do not have talented people or cutting-edge technology. It is because we are simply the most dependent and most vulnerable. Communications through our military and government relies heavily on cyber networks, which can be infiltrated. Compromising the security of these networks could cause a huge number of problems, including the exposure of classified information and loss of communications, not only between people, but between unmanned vehicles, operators, and weapon systems. An example of this is if the United States was attacked by a nuclear missile, and communications with their interception capabilities is interrupted. The consequences would carry enormous implications. McConnell also believes we are also losing because we have not made the national commitment to understanding and securing cyberspace. With the recent structuring of an Air Force Cyber Command, the Air Force is taking a giant stride in focusing more attention on cyber warfare. Businesses have the potential of profiting greatly from the emergence of cyber warfare. However, they also face grave consequences if cyber attacks break through the defenses of their cyber infrastructure. While the threat of attack on a business's cyber infrastructure causes much concern, the ability to develop methods of cyber defense provides businesses with a new lucrative market. Attacks on electrical power supplies have the potential of devastating large regions of the country. Experiments in California with deregulation illustrated what effects a loss of electrical power supply could have. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, the experiments in deregulation caused statewide blackouts and rolling brownouts for months. The CIIS concluded that there is no method for cyber attack that can have that effect. However, the trend in cyber technology is growing at such exponential rates that the possibility for such an attack may not be unreasonable in a couple years. While businesses are increasingly becoming the primary target for cyber attacks, cyber warfare provides businesses with a new market in which they can develop products to increase cyber defenses for corporations and the government. Large government contractors are putting increased efforts into their cyber warfare divisions in attempts to win large government contracts. It is recommended for both civilian and military sectors to invest a vast amount of money, manpower, and infrastructure towards building defense against cyber warfare. Also, each of these sectors needs to invest a research and development program in order to develop new ways to counter cyber attacks, as the means and implementation of cyber attacks have themselves become more diverse. The key to beating this evolving warfare is to constantly be a step ahead of the enemy. A basic rule of thumb to follow is always to update the network's firewalls and individual machines' virus protection. Another recommendation is for the civilian and military sectors to lessen their technological dependence. By doing so, the severity of an attack will be significantly lower and easier to recover. This will be a very hard transition, but it is a necessity in order to win the war in cyberspace.